boys, get the OSS, the muzzle brake, see how we do. Yeah, the muzzle brake is a must on this gun. What's up, boys? We're back with the Desert Tech MDR to give my final thoughts on this rifle after taking it to a rifle class, Warrior Poet Society with John Lovell. I gotta get this out of the way. If you guys ever get a chance to train with John, I highly recommend it. He's the perfect combination of goofy and fun, but also serious and down to business, and he has this way of conveying information in a simple, concise manner to improve your skills, see what you're doing wrong, and just make you more efficient and a better shooter right away. Faster and better than you ever could on your own with thousands of rounds of ammunition. I mean, just the amount of skill you can gain over the weekend it's amazing, and new ways to look at things that you never would have thought. I always like to say, you don't know what you don't know until you realize you don't know it. There's nothing more true than firearms training, and especially training with John. And he's just such a great instructor, such a cool talent to have. Oh, and we're actually graced with a little mascot, my little co-host over there. Yeah. Fun little added to the video. So let's go over this thing. When you go to a rifle class, you really figure out what is good and what is bad about your gun specifically. Whether it was store-bought, whether it's a weird rifle like this, it's a Bullpup and it's new, whether you built it yourself. If there are any quirks with your gun, you're gonna figure it out in a rifle class, because stress levels are raised. Not only are you doing complicated new things, and you have time restraints, you have an instructor pushing you, you also have the nerves, you want to look good in front of everybody else. So generally, you're using the rifle a lot, you have a little bit higher stress levels, and there's pressure on you to perform well. So you're gonna want the most out of your gun. And if your gun fucks up, you notice it a lot more than if you were just on like your range and you got a weird malfunction, you probably don't even really think about it. But when you're in a class, you're like, oh shit, now I'm behind the class. So like it just, everything registers much more. And then, as I said, when you are pressed under time constraints and stuff, little inconsistencies and inefficiencies in your system really get drawn out. Now I'm gonna be talking about this rifle in respect to the use that I would have it intended for, which is a like shit hit the fan, home defense kind of situation. That's how I would be using any of my rifles. I don't have any rifles that I take with me and stuff. I don't think that you're ever gonna have a rifle with you in a split emergency situation. I think that a rifle is gonna be more like home defense. You heard somebody break a glass, okay, I can go get my rifle. Or there is an emergency situation with like hurricanes or natural disasters or some other without rule of law scenario where you have time to be like, okay, I need to be more armed than what I can just carry on my body. Because generally speaking, I don't think there's ever a scenario where you're gonna have time to say run to your rifle in your car or something like that. So that's how rifles are for me. I have time to be prepared to be defensive minded. So this is how I would be defensive minded. I don't have a go bag per se. I have a go chest rig. This is my go bag. Now, I have a armor plates inside here. There is 2, 3 mags on this plate carrier with the 308 mags. When I have regular 5.56 300 blackout mags, then I can increase that by an extra one. But I have a couple pistol mags, So this is like my, oh shit, I need to get into defensive mode layout that I have set up. So this is what I took to the class, because this is what I would be, they always say train how you would fight. This is how I would be fighting if I had a rifle. I would have this plate carrier, I would have whatever rifle I chose, Desert Tech MDR being it for now. So when I talk about this rifle right now, it's going to be in that context, like a shit hit the fan, defensive mindset, home defense, your life is on the line, and this thing being efficient and effective under stress is the important aspects that I'm going to be drawing upon, not like a range or hunting context, which is much more relaxed. So let's talk about how this rifle performed. As far as cycling, rounds going off when you intended them to, magazines working, all of that, this gun was 100%. I had no malfunctions of that nature throughout the entire class. I did have some problems, but they're not like the cycling and reliability of the firearm in that respect. So let's just go right into the problems now that I had with this gun. So one of the big problems that I have is the magazine release. There are two magazine releases on this firearm. There is one right here and there is one right there. Both of them do the exact same thing. There is a long bar that runs along here between this one and the back over here. The actual magazine catch is right here. So when you come up and you push this, like right now I am pushing as hard as I can on this magazine release. Literally as hard as I can. It will not release this magazine. If I come in, I get some more leverage, okay, I can get it to drop. But with my trigger finger, as hard as I could push, I could not release that magazine just then. This doesn't happen all the time. I happened to just get lucky that time when I was trying to show you guys the problem. It happened. So this happens probably once every 3 or 4 times you need to change a magazine, which is way too much. It's a significant problem. I noticed that generally in class, when this would occur, I would have to come back to the rear magazine catch, because you can really like pull on that, or I would do what I just did and I would come up and hit it with this hand. So obviously that's just an ergonomic nightmare and it's a malfunction. I sent it to Desert Tech before, if you watched the other videos of the MDR, to fix that problem. They made it a little bit better, but it still does that as it just did. I actually have another email out to Desert Tech to try to send this back to them again and see if they can fix that. Not only is it really hard and you cannot use this magazine button sometimes, but all the time it's extremely gritty and hard to push, even when it's working. Let's see if it works this time. Okay, so that time it worked. It's still very gritty and hard to push, even when it's working the way it's intended to. Oh, hi friend. You wanted to join the video? You say hi? Say hello. Tell him hello. Tell him hi. Tell him. Tell him. Say hi. Oh, good work. So there you go. From the co-star, he says hello. So now, after a message from our co-host, let's talk about the other malfunction you might have with this gun. And that's going to happen when the instructor calls to clear out your guns. So you have rounds in the chamber, rounds in the magazine, and he wants to do the talking portion, so you're going to clear everything out, make sure everything's safe. So right now, obviously, the gun is empty, no magazine in there. So let's go ahead and get it in the condition that we want it to. So you get a mag out, a couple rounds in there, pop that in there. So now charge the gun. So now there is a round in the chamber, magazine out. So now we need to clear the gun. Pull back, and nothing happened. Come back, pull back, and nothing happened. So try it again, come back, nothing happened. I can see right now, because of the video camera, what's going on. But let's take a closer look. So now the round is somewhere stuck right here. So now the gun is seized up. I can't pull back. Nothing's happening if I pull back. We got a problem. So now, what do you do with the MDR when you have a problem? Well, you take it off and you fucking throw it and you go to your pistol. Okay, so let's actually talk about it. Okay, so you have this cover right here. You also have a cover on the other side of the gun. This one has the ejector in it, so you don't take that off. You gotta take this off. We're gonna try to take pressure off of the round. Now we can try to take this off. And there we go. And this is what happens. Place the gun over there. This happens very often when you're trying to clear a live round from the chamber. What's happening is the nose of the bullet, from what I can gather, the nose of the bullet it doesn't point it down enough to shove it out. This happens pretty often, and I know it happens often, so I charge the gun very hard, and it still happens. So this is a user-induced error. However, when a gun gets to a point where it is extremely easy to make it malfunction, that's a design flaw in the gun and not necessarily the user's fault. Especially when I know it's going to happen, I know it's a possibility, so I do everything I can to make sure I rack it as hard as I can, and then it still happens because I'm actively trying to prevent it from happening, and I can't sometimes. Sometimes I do, sometimes it gets back far enough and it will pop out around. But you'll notice a lot of like resistance. The rounds just get caught up. So it's not all user error. And like I said, if a malfunction is that easy to induce, it's a problem inherent in the design and not necessarily your use. And when you don't have to do that with any other rifle system, clearing the gun is extremely easy on a SCAR, on an AR platform. That shit never happens. That's a big problem I have with this gun, is when you need to eject and make safe with a live round in the chamber. It doesn't happen. And as you just saw, we'll just dive right into the other problem with this gun. That's how you have to clear malfunctions every time. There is no such thing as a quick fix with the DesertTech MDR. If you have a problem with your MDR, you need to take this cover off. If this gun was ever issued to somebody in a military setting, the first thing in the world they would do is take this cover and throw it in the trash. This is simultaneously this gun's coolest and worst feature there is. It is very cool when you're shooting and it functions properly. But once something goes wrong with this gun, this thing is a fucking nightmare, and it causes the gun to be a fucking nightmare, sometimes just because of the way it is, as you guys just saw. Rounds getting stuck inside this little tiny chamber that's shaped exactly like a round. So as you can see, unless the round, let me go grab it, unless the round fits perfectly, I mean, look how hard it is even to push it inside like that, but unless the round fits perfectly, it's shaped exactly like the round, so there's no room for error. That's a freaking problem, man. If they ever wanted this gun to be military ready or police ready, like actual problem solving weapon, this has to go. I mean, it's cool, it's fun when stuff isn't very important, but when stuff's important, this is not cool, it's not fun. They need to redesign this if they actually want to market it to a military personnel or police or something along the lines of official use. This is the interior, what's going on in here. You can see the other side, the extractor is right there. You get the bolt, and that's how it functions. The bolt comes back, and then you can see the extractor pop out. See it right there? It just popped out. That last little movement. It pushes the round inside that, for lack of a better word, I can't think of anything, anatomically correct shape of the caliber chamber, and then it poops it out. Which, obviously, if it's just the regular case, it seemed to work fine. After 400 rounds in John's class with mag dumps and rapid fire and with the can on the whole time, so the rounds were getting dirty and stuff, magazines getting dirty, it functioned flawlessly. So when the rounds are spent, it's working very well, but when the rounds are not spent, it doesn't work well. And if you ever do have a situation where you do get a case stuck inside there for whatever reason, it's just a nightmare to get this gun back into service. Say I was in like an actual situation and I had a dead round, so then I tried to clear it like that, I had that malfunction. Look at how many steps I had to do. I mean, I had to pull back, release tension, that's normal, you should do that in any rifle. Pull back, release tension, but then it's still stuck inside this case. So now I need to take my fingernail, try to rip this little thing off, and then throw it away. So that cover was just useless to begin with. So this is how the gun's gonna have to function now. And look at this giant gap. Oh yeah, look at this giant gap back here where, I mean, say you ever were in like a sandy environment. Let's say we were in US troops and we were in the desert and shit like that happened. Shit happens. Now you have this giant, this gun's just useless. You cannot market this to any sort of military application because of this ejection port issue going on here. It's a cool thought, but once it comes down to actually using it, it's no longer cool anymore. It's just a hindrance. You might as well have just put a regular extractor in there, or even keep the same one, but you need to redesign this so that it's just open and it can just throw shit. And then just have a deflector like everything else so that you don't have this problematic choke point in the ejection system. It's just an unnecessary evil, and that's one of the faults of this rifle specifically. There is one other fault of this rifle specifically, and then everything else is basically ergonomics of a bullpup that I have a problem with. And the problem child here is this section of rail right there. You can see how it's a different color from everything else. That is because this is metal, it is steel, and it is actually part of the gas block. They put it in there because this gun boasts quick barrel changes, and they make a little tiny mount for like an RMR that can stick on that one Picatinny rail section. There is only one section, and they make a little mount that can stick directly on that so that you never lose zero no matter when you're changing calibers. Who the hell is changing calibers so often that they have to worry about the zero of the gun being perfect every time? And then they have to not care that it's a little teeny weeny optic, because this can't support obviously something like an EOTech or something like that that takes up more space than that. So it's a dumb little thing. The problem with it isn't just that though, it's this thing gets fucking super hot. Like absolute burning hazard. It's a problem. Nothing should be super hot on your gun that you can touch very easily, and that is, even when I had it slung in class at one point, after shooting a little bit of rounds and stuff, and the gun wasn't that hot at this point, but I went like this, and I was like, ooh, motherfucker. They need to take it out, simple as that. So, let's talk about some more quirks with this gun that aren't Desert Tech MDR specific. We're going to talk about bullpups while in real use. So we have a sling. This is how you would normally fight with a rifle, is you have a sling. Let me grab a magazine because we're going to need that from over here. The gun is cleared out, and this is an empty mag. So let me throw this guy in here, and we'll put the ejection system little port on there. There's a few positions that you might have your rifle in where it depends on the circumstance and what you're trying to do. But one of them would be over the shoulder, like this. Then you'd have retention, like this, right under your arm. And then you have Sewell, which would be this. Now, in all of these, you want to keep your body as thin as possible, so your arm wants to be down as much as it can. It's kind of awkward, but you're going to want your arm bent like that in Sewell. And when you're up here in shoulder, you're going to want it bent like that. Same thing with retention, although it's very easy because the gun is thin, slimline, so you're just coming down like that. But when you are in Sewell, and then you are in over the shoulder, the magazine actually gets in the way because you want to bring your arm down. So you're in like this weird situation where your arm is up against the magazine and it's annoying, it's in the fucking way, and you end up chicken winging a lot because my arm gets stuck on the magazine. I can't even bring it down. And you don't want your arm hanging out like that because that's like a big target and it can give you away. You want to be as small as possible, and say you're trying to like look around a doorway or something, you don't want to be like this and now your arm's sticking way out, so you want it to be tight to your body. It's just a pain in the ass. Same thing with Sewell. Your arm, it digs in right over here, so you can't get your arm down over here where you want it, which in standard stock configuration, this is all clear, so you don't have that problem. Now, that's a little quirk. It's just part of a bullpup. All the business is right here. So now that also brings us right into the next weird quirk of a bullpup, which is reloading. Now, there's two types of reloads. There's emergency reloads and tactical reloads. Emergency reloads are just when your magazine goes dry, bolt locks to the rear, you need to change your magazine very quickly. So the most efficient way to do that would be you have the gun, you're in the sights, you weren't expecting it, you're shooting, all of a sudden, bullet comes back, you're empty. So now you want to stay in the exact same position, fighting position, and then drop the magazine, grab a new one, come up, insert, hit the bolt release, and send it home. The problem here is everything is like bunched up right, you can't really see it. All right, so this is a little easier. Everything's bunched up right here. So while you're coming in, there's a lot of shit to like get in the way, and then you're trying to like fight all of this to get back here and hit the bolt release. So yeah, that's kind of weird, it's kind of quirky. It's a little bit to do with the MDR just because they place the bolt release way back here. I'm not sure where the Tavors is and the AUG and stuff like that, but the bolt's way back here, so it's kind of, your hand's just kind of conflicting with a bunch of junk inside your chest rig. The problem really comes when you're going to do a tactical reload. Now, that is when something awful just happened, you had to let off a bunch of rounds, you're like, oh shit, you were surprised, you get behind cover, and now you're standing there, and you're like, oh my god, what the fuck was that? And you want to be ready for if something goes wrong again. So now, you're going to come over here, and you're going to grab one of your magazines, and what you want to do is, I'll show you from this angle, so what you want to do is you want to take, you still have rounds in this magazine, so you don't want to throw it away. You're going to take this magazine out, put this one in, and herein lies the problem. So let me try to show you the best way I can. There you go. So now you need to get this magazine that is full. This magazine has some rounds in it, you don't really know how many, but it has useful rounds in it, so you don't want to throw it away. You want to get it inside here. So now you really got to cant your wrist out, change the direction of the gun, then you can put it in, stow this mag, because like I said, there's still useful rounds, slap it, and there's your tactical reload. But, like I said, you have that quirky situation where everything's going on around here. So your wrist becomes very problematic. It's in the way. You have that crappy magazine release coupled with it. So it's just, It's a lot of junk, and you have your chest rig right here, which is also keeping you from having full access to back here. It's just a lot of business going on around here, and it's causing problems with the efficiency of this gun. And efficiency is important when time is important and stress is involved and stuff like that. Loss of time, you weren't ready, you weren't prepared, your mind's off the problem. It's just, there are quirks about this system that don't need to be there. We'll put it that way. So why a Bullpup? Why does it have these quirks? What makes it worth having all of this to deal with? And why would someone choose a Bullpup? Well, the point of a Bullpup is that the barrel comes from here all the way down to here. And you have this really small package and you have a 16-inch barrel. That's the point of a Bullpup, guys. That's the glory of it. When you are in over the shoulder or you are in retention, like, look at how far this 16-inch barrel 308 sticks away from me. It's almost nothing. And when it's over the shoulder, it's way sucked in. So you have this huge 16-inch barrel 308 capable rifle. You are packing a lot of power with a lot of barrel length in a very small package. That is very cool. It's compelling. But overall, you have guns like, say, the Honey Badger, or just home build that are like the Honey Badger, where you have a 300 blackout gun that has a 7 to 9 inch barrel. It has a magazine in the regular location up here. You have a regular stock back here, and it's probably about the exact same size as this. And it weighs almost half. Say, like, because I can just bring up the Honey Badger specifically. It weighs 4 pounds, 7 ounces. Naked. This gun naked weighs 8 pounds. So it's almost double. And it's the same size. Granted, you do have 308, but a lot of guys are running these exact same rifles. They're actually a little bit heavier or the exact same weight in 5.56. So if you're running this gun in 5.56, it honestly has no point. I don't see a point in the MDR in 5.56 at all. You are hindering yourself with ergonomics, efficiencies, and you get little to absolutely no gain in performance from having a 16-inch barrel to a, say, a 13 or something like that. To get a 13-inch pistol, even 11-inch pistol in 5.56, you will be just as effective 99.9% of the time, unless you were trying to like reach out to like 700 yards with your 5.56. I mean, this is just astronomically dreaming. You're not going to get any benefit from this gun in 5.56. It's going to look super cool. If looks were all that mattered, this gun would be the best gun on the market by far. I think it looks amazing. But in 308, it kind of has that cool 16-inch barrel, huge power packed in this compact package. So it kind of has this fun, certainly fun for a toy or hunting, but this fun charisma about it that I do love. This gun is not military ready or official business ready in any way, shape, or form. It is a very fun, very cool looking, interesting, innovative gun that would need some changes in order to be in a professional setting. There's my thoughts on the Desert Tech MDR. I do like the gun, but when it comes to a defensive firearm, I'm going to opt for something else from now on and take this off of the options list for me.